So we should be good. Yeah, we are. Welcome to the Golden Dome. Finally, first practices. Actually, today's the day of the second practice. First two practices for Notre Dame. I'm getting hyped already. And honestly, this is a very exciting podcast today for me. I'm very excited to do this. This is one I've been looking forward to all day. And, let's get straight to it. So there is something quick I wanted to talk about because I watched an interview earlier today from 2 days ago with somebody from someone who covers Notre Dame, and they were talking a little bit about realignment and what Notre Dame would have to do to stay independent and all that, or what Notre Dame would do, why they probably stay independent. And this is another thing I want to go over quick because I know I probably talked about it in multiple podcasts, but I want to talk about it again. And this time I kind of have thought over new small things. Notre Dame's staying independent. It's going to. With realignment, Swarbrick, the athletic director, and the rest of Notre Dame can just sit here and go, aren't we glad we don't have to do this? And it's funny because you've got the whole thing with Texas and Oklahoma. I don't think I covered it last time. I don't think I was on last time for it. I think this happened after the last Golden Dome. They're moving to the SEC in 2025. It's going to happen. And it's going to be a nightmare for the Big Ten, or the Big 12, because, I mean, realistically, you're losing your top two teams in terms of revenue and stuff like that. Not only that, top two teams in general. So now you're falling even further behind the rest of the Power Five. And now they're going to scramble. And you're seeing a lot of people go, well, they could get Notre Dame, or the ACC could try to pick up Notre Dame in all this chaos. Or, no, it's not going to happen. The ACC might try to pick off one or two Big 12 squads, especially if the Big 12 Pac-12 merger happens, and it's not going to. If it does, well, it could. I shouldn't say it won't. I don't think it will. It would definitely do some damage to the college football landscape, and you'd have to see a lot of reshifting and everything with that, I think. But, I mean, if that really does happen, that's probably the best chance for the ACC to poach teams, but it ain't going to be Notre Dame. And you think Notre Dame's built on independence? Their brand is independence. If they join a conference, you lose that kind of pull for players. You lose kind of saying, yeah, we're Notre Dame, we're independent, we are us and us only. And we kind of run ourselves. We're not dictated by a conference and all that. And we are just us and only us. And if that makes sense, if that doesn't make sense, it's Notre Dame. Notre Dame is mostly by itself as an independent. The only real associations you see are in other sports. In football, you don't see them really associate. Yes, they do. Yes, they do play 6 ACC teams a year, and they usually play Navy, and they usually play USC and Stanford. But that's like a conference schedule for them. That's like as if they were in a conference, so they're kind of set up like that. And they usually have a couple more games to set up, but this is a team built for for independence, I think, especially with how long of a run they've had in independence. They're not in a rush to do anything. They're not in a rush to go anywhere. The ACC did just get a new commissioner, and I feel like it's going to be a little bit rocky at first between Notre Dame and the new ACC commissioner, just because I think it's gonna take a while before they're like, we know you don't want to. All right, we get it. We're still going to do maybe, let's say they reach out every year or something, or every couple of years, just because they want to make sure. There's no sense of, well, maybe. But still, Notre Dame is independent. Not only that, it got the NBC deal as an independent. And they're doing just fine. They're stable as an independent. How many teams can you say have as big of a brand as Notre Dame, can stay as stable as they are, and can find consistent success, especially under someone like a Brian Kelly, like this, like in the past, in a while. Like Notre Dame, yes, they've been on and off. Charlie Weiss, but Brian Kelly's really managed to get them back into relevancy. Well, not into relevancy, but he's really managed to put them up there. There's a reason Notre Dame's always contending for the playoffs. Yes, we don't do good in there, but we also run into Bama half the time, and you can't tell me most teams who face Bama aren't going to take the L. They're going to. Bama, their second and third string guys would probably be starting on most college rosters. That's just how it is, and they're still going to be a powerhouse, even at least at first, even when Saban leaves, because he's set that program up for when he leaves. But Notre Dame is independent. They're built for independence. They're stable as an independent. They're finding success as an independent, and they're just living comfortable, looking from the inside or from the outside looking in, kinda. But you're still like, you know what? We're independent, but we're doing a lot better than the guys in the conferences. Anyways, I just wanted to talk about that. That's something that got me kind of going. I really wanted to talk about it. Then we have some quotes from Brian Kelly he had a presser yesterday. And there's a couple that I really took interest in, including one where he talks about the corners. But while I pull this up, once I pull this up, we'll get into it. It feels good to have sports back again, all three. And Notre Dame football college football starts in 2 weeks. It is the last week of August. Notre Dame football doesn't kick off till the week after that with Florida State. I'm pumped. I'm really pumped for that. That's something that really got me excited. Is football's back till February. Just football in general. But actually, before I get to the Brian Kelly press conference, I do have some other stuff here to talk about quick. Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlesby estimated that the remaining 8 Big 12 schools could lose $14 million per year in TV revenue, with Oklahoma and Texas leaving. The Big 12 roughly distributes $28 million in TV money per year. Those two teams in Oklahoma and Texas are 50% of that. That's another reason why I think this could fall apart, and they're really going to fall behind. Because now you're losing your primary source of income. And then there was a rumor that that Clemson and Florida State reached out to the SEC about joining, which was later called not true. Which I kind of laughed at, because why would Florida State move when they're only good for 3 weeks a year half the time? That's Florida State. They're dangerous for like the first half of the season, then the second half they just disappear. And then PFF College tweeted out that Notre Dame's the only quote-unquote free agent that would really add to the pot of if like an Oklahoma and Texas left. And with the rumor of if Clemson and Florida State would leave, that Notre Dame would be the only one to really bring a big pull of money. Either way, even if if either of the conferences went out to recruit them, no matter what, Notre Dame ain't gonna do it. And that's the one thing, is Notre Dame's such a big brand. It's an independent. You don't even, if you're a Notre Dame fan, some of us don't even think about it till you really look at it and go, we are that big of a brand. Yeah, and then the Clemson Florida State rumor was disproved by multiple people, so I kind of found that a little bit funny. But, I mean, it is what it is. These rumors are going to come out. I mean, we had the Deshaun Watson thing earlier this week, because apparently people can tweet out whatever they want with a check mark, and, I mean, if I had a check mark and I was one of these big somewhat respected people. If I said, you know what, Notre Dame's joining the ACC, they're reaching out to the ACC, people would believe it, even if I was like known for not known for joking, but if I was like they look at the check mark and go, yeah, it seems credible. No, it's not. Especially in these days. And it's one of those things where you got to take everything with a grain of salt now, and it sucks. But that's the kind of place we are in with this stuff. Notre Dame did get the verbal commit of Tobias Mayweather, who is an Adidas All-American, and that bumped their total up to 6 Adidas All-Americans on the commitment list, the verbal commitment list, and they had 4 Under Armour All-Americans committed. Actually. And then another receiver who's a target, and he's also an Adidas All-American, C.J. Williams, is supposed to announce his college choice tonight. So that'll be interesting. That would be, Notre Dame's recruiting class is a lot better than I thought it'd be coming into the year. At least at this point, I still am not 100% with it. You're still not to the point where you can say, yeah, these guys are 100% committed. I wait till the national letter of intent, and even then they can still decommit, even though it's more rare. But Brian Kelly did confirm that Jordan Botelho is not going to be suspended. He denied any sort of potential suspension and said that he will be available all season. Which is good. We definitely need as much help as we can get on the line. Especially coming into a new year, losing some guys, and honestly, it'd be nice to have that depth. Brian Kelly says the team is 95% vaccinated, and that Notre Dame is above the threshold where vaccinated players will not need to be tested if there is a positive test among unvaccinated. Kelly said same principle applies to the staff. And that's good. That's good. That's great to hear. I'm glad that they have met the threshold, they are vaccinated, and it's likely that there's not going to be much of a breakout if there is to be one, hopefully. Hopefully. We don't. It's not 100% guaranteed with its Delta variant because it's a Delta variant, but who knows at this point. This has been a crazy year. But anyways, Brian Kelly does plan to stay ahead of the COVID Delta variant. He said, quote, "We're prepared to wear masks, social masks. We've set it into motion, all of those things, if we need to get to it." And I'm happy about that. I'm happy that he's still mindful of the Delta variant, even though his guys are still vaccinated, which is good. I'm very glad. Brian Kelly said this on the cornerbacks. Quote, "I don't think you can rule out Ramon Henderson. Sorry if I butchered the first name. Quote, unquote. Should be added to Rick Bracey, Clarence Lewis, and what, Josh Hart? No. Why do I keep thinking Josh Hart? I forget his first name all the time, but Hart, the other corner. I really like Tariq Bracey as a corner. I like Lewis as a corner. I kind of like Hart as a corner. Henderson coming in, if he can compete with those guys, I'll be happy. I will. I honestly, and when I get into like the roster overlook later, I can't wait to talk about that. Corner is one position where I'm like, I like this corner. I like the depth right now. But this is what Brian Kelly said on the will linebacker position. Quote, we're so deep at that position, unquote. Repeatedly asking Marcus Freeman how they're going to get all of them involved. Quote, you're trying to be creative. So that means you're probably going to see a lot of different combinations in the linebacking group that can make for a dangerous thing for opposing teams because you don't know what you're going to get. There is definitely a loaded linebacker spot, though losing Wusu did hurt. Because you still do have a Bo Bauer, a Drew White, and who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting somebody. But you've got some good linebackers there that I have confidence in. I already covered that. I have multiple tweets of the same thing. But Brian Kelly did say, quote, if somebody is off the team, we're going to tell you. We're not going to hide that from you. That's another thing going back to the Jordan Botelho thing. And realistically, that's good. It's good to be transparent like that, and I'm glad he's going to be transparent about stuff like that. Because it's nice for the players, for the coaches, for everybody. It's good to be transparent about something like that. But Brian Kelly also, and so Brian Kelly said there is, quote, a lot of competition, unquote, at other positions on the offensive line. Says Jarrett Patterson is starting at center, and Josh Lugg will play for us, or, quote, will play for us. And he also said, quote, everybody else has to learn, or has to earn their way. Which means even the transfer in, Kane Madden, has to earn his spot. I'd like that. I really do. And I'm thinking Lugg might be at right. No. I think it'll be either Kane or Lugg at right guard, and then it'll probably have Zeke Cornell at left guard. I think he's definitely going to fight for potentially some snaps at one of those spots, or even center. Let's say they want to give Patterson some breaks at times in games. They could bring him in, because both have some experience there. Because when Patterson went down last year, Lugg filled in, I'm pretty sure. I think it was a mixture of Lugg and Cornell. Lugg and Zeke Corral. But Brian Kelly did say this on Zeke Corral at left guard. He's, quote, he's smart, he's tough, he's athletic. The physical things he brings outweigh the facts that he's not 325. That he doesn't weigh in at 325. That's another thing. I'm confident in this O-line. I'm excited, especially with the experience some of these guys have. And I'm pumped. And let me also note, Jarrett Patterson did work at guard during some spring practices, but he is confirmed to be back at center. Alright. Yeah, again, I have the same thing for, like... I follow 4 different people, so it's hard not to... It's hard not to have the same thing twice, or even sometimes 3 times. But yeah, that was his press conference. Some of it, not all of it, but most some quotes, some that I kind of picked out, and I'm excited. I really am. And now I kind of want to cover a little bit of an outlook on the roster. We're 20 minutes in. This is going to be a longer podcast. I'm excited because I wanted to kind of look over the roster and look over the incoming class of freshmen and the guys who could come in next year. But going to the roster. While I try to get this going, because my computer's lagging a little bit. Actually, let me do this. It's going to be easier. I think I got it. Hey! There we go. I think. Hold on. Nope, technical difficulties. That's an understatement, but technical difficulties. Okay, I got it. So, me get to it. So looking at the roster right now, you've got Jet Cohen as your fifth-year quarterback transfer in from Wisconsin, but you've also got, I'm hearing a lot of good things about Drew Pine, who's going to probably be contesting with Cohen for a spot, although I think they're going to go with the fifth-year guy at least for the beginning of the season. And then you've got Pine's a sophomore, so that kind of tells me, where's Brendan Clark, who is a junior. Him and Pine, I think, jump back and forth between 2 and 3 behind Ian Book a little bit. And it begs the question, where are they going to be at? Now, Clark has been redshirted. Pine has not. It leads me to think, you could, if Pine doesn't get enough time this year, if he plays less than 4 games, was it less than 4 games you can redshirt? If you don't like what you see from Pine, you all well and could roll with Jack Cohen, Brendan Clark as your 2, and then Tyler Butcher and Ron Prowess behind them for now. And then try to roll with Drew Pine after Cohen leaves. And then you've got Pine starting for 2 years with Clark behind him for 2 years. Because Clark's been... Actually, no, it'd be 1 year. Because he'd jump into his 5th year after... Actually, no. Because after this year, he's in his senior year, but he's been redshirted. And then he'd have 1 more year after that. So he's here till 2023. Then at running... So I'm kind of confident in that quarterback spot, but it's just who's going to start. And then at running back, you've got Sebo, who's in his senior year. Right, he's been redshirted, so he has 1 more year. Kyron's got 2 more years. He's in his junior with a redshirt. Tyree, 2 more. He has not been redshirted, and he's in his sophomore. And then you've got freshmen Logan Diggs and Audric Estime. Sorry if I butchered that. I'm very confident in the new guys coming in, and I can't wait to see them get their turn, but you gotta wait till Kyron and Chris Tyree are out, because if they can develop a little bit more, dude, I think they can ball. I really do. And they're all great backs. They're all very good backs. Even Sebo. And Sebo isn't necessarily the greatest, but he's still very good. And he's the most experienced in that running back core. So I'm very confident with them. At tight end, you've got George DeCox. I know I probably said that wrong too. I'm sorry if I butchered that. He's in his senior year, but he's been redshirted, so he has another year of eligibility. Then you've got Michael Mayer and Kevin Bauman, who are both sophomores with no redshirts. So they've got 2 more years of eligibility. And then Kane Barong and Mitchell Evans, who are freshmen. Honestly, I think you'll roll with a 1 of Mayer, 2 of DeCox, and then 3 of Bauman. And then you'll probably see Barong and Evans get redshirted, or at least 1. I don't know if you'll see 1 step in, at least not this early, unless someone turns up like a Michael Mayer. But I don't think you've got someone there yet. Alright, so wide receiver. Avery Davis is your 5th-year guy. Kevin Austin's got another year because he's in his senior with a redshirt. Braden Lenzy has another year, same situation. Same thing with Joe Wilkins and Lawrence Keys III. Those guys are going to be your top 4. I think it'll be Avery Davis, Braden Lenzy, actually 5, because the way I looked at it, I saw 4, even though I said 5. So I think you'll start Avery Davis at the 1 for now, Lenzy at the 2, Wilkins and Austin at the 3 and the 4. I'm not necessarily sure where I see them yet. Keys at the 5, and then Xavier Watts, who is a sophomore with no redshirt, at the 6. And then I think you redshirt Styles, Coltsy, and Thompson for now, because I think you're really going to want to lean on those more experienced guys like Lenzy and Austin and Davis, and I think you're going to have to. You could go to maybe a Lorenzo Styles now, but I don't think it's necessarily the right decision yet. Alright, at center, you've got Jarrett Patterson, who's got another year of eligibility. He's in his senior with a redshirt. And then Zeke Cornell, who's one behind him with a redshirt, so he's in his junior. Like I just said, Jarrett Patterson is your starting center, and I think Corral may even be It's your left guard on the opposite side of Kane Madden. Speaking of Kane Madden, he is in his 5th year at the guard spot. We're going over to guards now. He is in his 5th year. John Dirksen, he is in his 4th year with a red shirt, so he has 1 more year. Hunter Spears in his 3rd with a red shirt, he's got 2. And then you've got the 2 new freshmen, Pat Coogan and Rico Spindler. Spindler I'm very confident about. Him and Blake Fisher I'm very confident about, 2 freshmen. But Fisher's a tackle. But I think Madden's going to be a starting guard. I think Cornell may be your left side, Zeke or Kane may be your right. And then for now you've got these guys backing up, especially Spindler. And then I think it may be Spindler's job soon. Who knows? I've heard a lot of good things about Spindler, and I hope one day he can take that job. Tackle, you've got Josh Lugg as he's actually a 6th year guy because he's gotten 2 red shirts. I think he's got a med red shirt and a normal red shirt. Andrew Kristofic and Quinn Carroll as your red-shirted juniors. I can't say his name. I can't say his last name ever. I think I've tried this before. Aiden Canaan? I don't know. I'm really sorry if I butchered that again. That was really difficult. That was really difficult. And Riley Mills are your sophomores, and then Gabriel Rubio. Oh, nope. That is defensive lineman. Sorry. Tosh Baker and Michael Carmody are your sophomores. They do not have a red shirt, so they've got 2 more years. And then your freshman tackles are Blake Fisher, Joe Alt, and Caleb Johnson. So they've definitely brought in some young guys there. You still got 2 years of Kristofic and Carroll. So I think bringing in those young guys, it may be it could be their job to take once. I don't know with this tackle position. I really don't, especially bringing someone in like a Blake Fisher, who again I've heard really good things about him. Could he start? Probably not, but I think it's possible. Defensive tackle. You've got your 6th year guys in Myron Tagovailoa-Amosa and Kirk Heinrich. Jason Ademiola is a senior without a red shirt. His brother Justin is a senior with a red shirt at defensive end. But Howard Cross, redshirted junior. Jacob Lacey is a non-redshirted junior. Again, Kiaina, I think that's how you say it. And Riley Mills are your unredshirted sophomores, and Gabriel Rubio, your unredshirted freshman, obviously. But I'm very confident with these guys. Heinrich and Tagovailoa-Amosa, I think, are going to be your starters off the bat for now, unless they like Ademiola a little bit more, or feel like they can flex him out to defensive end. I think he's going to stay at defensive tackle and be that 3rd guy in the rotation. And then you've got mixture guys. Who knows who could be this 4th ET? It could be up in the air with a freshman. But at defensive end, you've got Jason's brother, Justin Ademiola, as obviously, like I said earlier, a redshirted senior. Nana Osafo-Mensah and Isaiah Foskey are your redshirted sophomores or redshirted juniors at defensive end. Alexander Arisberger and Jordan Botello as sophomores. Neither have a red shirt. And then your freshmen are Jason Oni and Will Schweitzer. And defensive end, I definitely think you're going to have Foskey starting. But chances are Botello could start. Chances are Ademiola probably starting. This job also could be a slight toss-up. Now we get to linebacker. Linebacker. This is a fun position. 5th year guys: Drew White, Isaiah Pryor. 4th year guys: Bo Bauer, Shane Simon, Paul Moala. None of them have red shirts, so this is their last year, I think. Juniors, Jack Kaiser has a red shirt. Actually, all of them have red shirts. Akawanu Marist. Oh no. Osita Akawanu, Marist, Luofao, and JD Bertrand. All juniors with a red shirt, so they've got 2 more years. And freshmen's Prince Kali and Kahanu Kia. Now, I don't think there's much of a chance that the freshmen get time. I think they get redshirted. But this is a loaded linebacking core. Bo Bauer, Jack Kaiser, Walala could see time. White's probably going to see time. Pryor's going to see time. Bertrand could see time. I like this linebacking core. I have a lot of faith. But Bo Bauer does leave after this year. He does not have a redshirt unless he's redshirted. I don't think he will be. Drew White leaves after this year. I don't want to see him go. But it is what it is. At safety, you've got Houston Griffith, and he is a senior without a redshirt. He does leave after this year without a redshirt. Unless he gets med redshirt. There's always the possibility of a med redshirt. Keep that in mind. And then you've got DJ Brown, who is a senior with a redshirt, so he has another year. And then you've got Litchfield Javen, a junior with a redshirt. Kyle Hamilton does not have a redshirt. He is a junior, and KJ Wallace is a junior with a redshirt. And then you've got freshman safeties Kahari Gee and Justin Walters. Kyle Hamilton, he's got his job locked down. I think that other spot you're gonna see some in and out of a lot of different guys. I mean, you don't have a Sean Crawford anymore. I miss you, Sean, but I'm still confident in maybe a Houston Griffith or a KJ Wallace. Alright, so then you've got Tariq Bracy, a senior without a redshirt. Unless he gets med redshirted or redshirted this year, he ain't going to be. He's gone. Kim Hart has a redshirt, and he is a junior. He's got 2 more years. Clarence Lewis, Caleb Offord, and Ramon Henderson, all sophomores without redshirts. And then you've got your freshmen, Ryan Barnes, Chance Tucker, Philip Riley, and JoJo Johnson. Your starters are probably going to be a mix of Bracy, Lewis, Hart. Not in that necessary order. And then Brian Kelly said to look out for Ramon Henderson because he could too. And then I think there's always a chance that a freshman could step up and have a blowout year. So it's possible. And then on special teams, you've got Jonathan Doerr, who's in his 6th year. He used that extra eligibility year given to him by the NCAA for last year to come back. Thank you, NCAA. Then you've got junior punter Jay Bramblett with 1 year left. Long snapper Alex Pinich. And another kicker in Josh Bryant. So Doerr is going to be your kicker this year. Bramblett's going to be your punter. And then Bryant's going to be your backup. And obviously Pinich is going to be your long snapper. Let's hope Josh Bryant can bring something to the table and step up when Doerr leaves next year. But that's most of the lineup, and I want to look into the recruiting class too, the 2022 recruiting class, because Marcus Freeman's done very well with this class on defense. I'm very hyped for this. If they can keep 99% of this class together, I'm pumped. I really am. Alright, so you've got 20 verbal commits. Right now they rank 3rd, but that will 100% change because it's the NCAA. You've got commits from 4-star Jalen Sneed. He's a linebacker. Actually, you've got 2 back-to-back linebackers up. Actually, 3. Nuafe Tuihalamaka, another linebacker commit, is also a 4-star. and Joshua Burnham, another 4-star linebacker. So you've got 3 4-star linebackers coming in for the guys leaving. I'm excited for that because you're filling holes with very good players. Tobias Merriweather, who just committed within the last week, 4-star receiver. He's going to hopefully fill the hole that's going to be left by some leaving guys and transfers out. I think this is a big year to grab receivers. You've got defensive lineman Tyson Ford. He's another commit. He's a 4-star. He's a defensive lineman. Joey Tonona, another 4-star tackle. He definitely could bring something to the table. And not only that, you've got another 4-star tackle behind him in Tai Chen. So you've got two 4-star tackles coming in. Steve Angeli has committed. He is a 4-star quarterback. Let's hope he can develop. Who knows what we have in Butchner, and I lost his name already. The other freshman, and who knows what could go on with the Brendan Clark situation. So it's always nice to have options at quarterback. Aiden Gobert, a defensive lineman, coming in. He is another 4-star. Jaden Mickey, a 4-star corner. Jadarian Price, a 4-star running back. Do we need all the good running backs? Yeah, we do. Don't even say we don't. I love having a lot of good running backs. Holden Stays, a 4-star tight end. Nolan Zeiger, a 4-star linebacker, another linebacker. And Benjamin Morrison, a 4-star corner. So they're definitely filling in holes. You're seeing some guys come in at corner that could potentially beef up this lineup. You're seeing some 4-star guys at linebacker to fill in the holes that are going to be left by other guys. You're seeing Angeli come in, and he's going to take the spot of Cohen. And I'm saying he's just taking the spot. I'm not saying he's going to be starting or anything, but I'm confident with that. You've got Stays coming in. Who knows what he could be in the future? He could become another good tight end, a staple next to Mayer. Who knows? And then going down to the 3-stars, there's a good amount of 4-stars in this class. I'm happy. Jaden Bellamy, a corner, a 3-star corner. He looks a little bit like a slot corner to me, looking at his size and weight. Another tight end, a 3-star, Eli Raridon. You've got Donovan Heinisch, younger brother of Kurt Heinisch, who is on the defensive line right now. He also plays defensive line, and he is a 3-star. Hey, I love seeing relatives and family of former and current players come in. It's always nice. It's always a cool thing to see. And then your last 2 commits of the class as of right now, Ashton Craig, another offensive tackle, a 3-star, and Amorian Walker, an athlete. Now, there's not much at receiver. I think you've definitely got to plunge into getting more receivers, especially some bigger time like a Merriweather. And I think that's the spot you're gonna have to look into right now. You're gonna have to look into getting another kicker potentially, with Dewar going if Bryant doesn't give you what you want. You also have to look into punter next year, because Bramblitt's going to be on his last year. I think you should start looking into it kind of now too. And I think tight end. You've had a lot of stability when you had Tremble, you had Brock Wright, you had Cole Kmet, and now you have Michael Mayer. You better, if you don't have stability there now, you better bring it in. But this has been a long episode of the Golden Dome. This is probably one of the most hype I've been for a podcast episode in a long time. Today, I don't know what it is today, but today's got me hyped and excited to talk. And as you can tell, I think I've talked very fast today in this episode. Sorry for that, but thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the week if there's news. If there's not, I will see you next week. There probably won't be news, so probably next week. But who knows, especially with Notre Dame back at practice.